All right, so now we're going to take a look at one of the most important parts of any framework, and that's the grid system. So the Materialize grid is pretty easy to use. One thing I want to do before we get started is go into the head. You see these style tags. We're just going to add the style for a class of box because I want to make the grid. I want you to be able to see the columns better. So we're going to have a class of box with a background of light gray, which is F4 3 times. And then we're going to have just some padding. So we'll say 10 pixels padding. And then we're going to just text align to the center. Okay, so we'll save that. And we'll go down to where it says start here. And we're going to first look at non-responsive grids, meaning that whatever columns we put, it's going to be the same for all screen sizes. Okay, now all grids should be wrapped in the class of row, just like Bootstrap, if you're familiar with Bootstrap. And then what I want is 12 one-column divs. So we're going to have the class of call. We're also going to have the class of S1. Okay, now S is for small. We basically have 4 sizes. We have small, we have medium, large, and extra large. Okay, now if we just do small, it basically propagates up. So if we say small 1, it's also going to be medium 1, large 1, extra large 1. It's going to be just a non-responsive grid. It's going to always be the same. So in here I'm going to put our box class, and I'm just going to put the number 1. Actually, I'll leave that blank, and then I'm just going to copy this down. So let's do 12 of these. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And save. And you can see that we have 12 columns. I'm just going to put numbers in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, and 12. All right, so there's our 12 column div, and no matter what screen size I have it on, it's always going to be 12 columns. Okay, so let's do an example for, let's say, 3 4-column divs. So we'd have our row, and then we would do call, and we'd say S4. Remember, there's 12 altogether, so 4 times 3 is 12. So if we want 3 of them, 3 full columns, then we want it to be an S4. And inside here we'll do dot box, and we'll say 1. And then what I'll do is just grab this, and let's make 2 more of these, and we'll just change this to 3, and we'll change this to 2, and save. And there we go. So now we have 3 4-column divs. So let's say we want to do 2 6-column divs. If you guys want to pause it and try it and come back, you can do that. But it's really easy. We're just going to do call, and let's do S6. Okay, so we'll have 2 6-column divs. Let's say box and 1, and we'll do the same thing here. So call S6, and inside here we'll do box and 2, and there we go. So now we have 2 6-column divs. Okay, and if we wanted to do an 8 and 4, so like a sidebar and a main area, that's really easy. We'll just do a row, and then we'll do a class of call, and let's do S8. That should be call. And we'll do, what do we call it, box. Oops. Call dots, and this one will be S4. And there we go. So now we have 8 and 4. All right, so as I said, these will stay the same no matter what the screen size. Now, if you wanted to make a responsive grid and have it different for multiple sizes, for instance, let's take our first example, which is 12 1-column divs. So I'll just grab that. Actually, you know what I'll do? let's grab all of these. So we'll grab the 12-1 columns, the 3-4 columns, and the 2-6 columns, and we'll grab all of them and we'll paste them in here. But I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to get rid of the comments because they're going to change based on size, screen size. So for this, usually what we would do is we'd keep the or we'd change this to M1 if we wanted a 12 column. So let's say medium size screens and up it'll be a 12 column row. So we'll change that all to M1. But if we get to small screens, obviously, I mean, that's just, it's too squished in there. So let's change it to S12 where the column takes up the entire thing. Okay, so it'll be stacked. So we'll just go ahead and add in an S12 like that. I don't think I've ever even used a 12 column div, but just to show you we can. Now if I go and I make this smaller, when we get to small screens, it stacks, okay? So it makes it responsive. If I get to here, now it's back to 12. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one here. We'll say instead of S4, we'll say M4 for medium, and then we'll say S12, which will make it stack because the small screens will take up all 12. All right, so if I go ahead and make this smaller, now you can see that this is now stacking on small screens. Okay, so that makes that responsive. Let's see, actually we don't need to do this one, it's pretty much the same thing, but for this one here I'm going to add a bunch of different sizes. So we'll have S12 if it's a small screen. Now if it's a medium screen, let's do 6 and 6. So we'll have 2 6 column divs. If it's a large screen, then let's see, if it's a large screen, we'll do 9. Yeah, we'll do, actually no, let's do 8 and 4. Okay, and then if it's an extra large, so we'll say extra large, then we'll do 9 and we'll do 3. Okay, so this is a very responsive grid. So let's save. We'll start at the small screen. So we're looking at the bottom one here. You can see it's stacked on small screens. We get to, let's see, where's the medium screen? And now it's 6 and 6. Okay, so it's 2 6 columns. If we get to large screens, which is still not there, right here, now it's a 9 and 3. And then if we get to extra large, which is, we'll just make it really big, now it's 8 and 4. Okay, I'm sorry, it's the opposite. It was 8 and 4 with large, and it's 9 and 3 with extra large. Okay, so this is that's a very responsive grid row. So another thing we can do is we can use push and pull to kind of switch the positions of the columns. So let me give you an example. I'll put in a row, and I'm going to put a class of call. Let's do we'll say S7, which will just be 7 for all sizes. And then, actually, we'll just do that for now. And then we'll say dot box and 1. And then for this one, we'll do call S5, and we'll say box 2 and save. So we're looking at this bottom one here. Now if I wanted to just switch these but not change the markup around, what I could do is just add a class of push, and then say I want S5 on this one, and then on this we'll say push, and we'll do S7 and save. I'm sorry, pull S7. So we should have push and pull. And now they're reversed. So now 2 actually is on this side, and the 1 is on this side. So this one gets pushed into the S5, this one gets pushed into the S7. or I should say pulled into the S7. Okay, another thing that we'll deal with is offsets. So if you don't want to take up all 12, like let's say you only want a 6-column div, but you want to move it into the middle, and this is used often for like login pages. So what we would do is create a row, and we would create our column, and let's say S6, and then what we'll do is we'll say offset, and let's say offset S3. Okay, and then in here we'll just put our box, and we'll say login and save, and there we go. So what happens is we have a 6-column div, but we pushed it over, or we offset it by 3 columns. All right, if I offset it by 4, then it's going to get pushed over a little more. Okay, if I offset it by 6, it's going to go all the way to the other side. Okay, but a lot of times if you're doing a login, you'll make it right in the middle. All right, so I think that's going to be it, guys. We're going to be using the grid system a lot, not just in the projects, but even in later sandbox lectures. So this is something that we're going to kind of drill into your head as we go through the course. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see